And we're going to now introduce you to somebody else who's, she's a child development consultant, author of Elf's Power, and also a big social media advocate as well. And hopefully she's joining us. She is, there you are, Mina. And now, do I pronounce your family name? Now, I want to say Minozzi, as in Italian, or would you say Minozzi?
Bravo. Can you
so
hear
good
me
start.
Okay?
We can hear you perfectly. That's absolutely great.
Great.
So first of all, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Where are you today?
I'm in Cambridge at the moment. It's actually my godson's birthday party. So if a child runs in a little bit hyperactive on cake, you're just aware of it. I've taken over his bedroom because it's the quietest place in the flat. So
I think in the last 18 months of Zoom calls, we're very aware of children running in and out of Zoom calls and things like that. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll let you get back to some more cake fairly shortly. Before we do that, tell us a little bit about your work as an author, and maybe start off from the beginning. You know, what was it that triggered that thought to think, actually, yes, I can do this?
So I've been working with children ages 4 to 12, and I've been supporting and teaching social and emotional skills. And during the first lockdown, I just thought, you know, seeing all these children, I was working online with them. It was really hard for them. And I was reading a lot of books with them. And I just realized that the books empowering them, tapping into their emotional intelligence just weren't there. You know, there's a lot about confidence, there's a lot about bravery, but really, truly, you know, I'm a massive advocate for emotional intelligence at any age, you know, and starting when they're younger is even better. So it was really important for me to create something. I've always wanted to write a book. I just never really had an inspiration. And then suddenly during lockdown, it just came to me. Really is the best way to put it. I wanted to come up with a series of books that covered the main aspects of emotional intelligence. So self-awareness, self-love, empathy, and gratitude. And I definitely wanted it to be children's books and not for adults. And when I thought about the characters, it was really important for me to create books that I want my own children to read at some point, you know, when I have kids, the sort of books that kind of leaving that story behind, because books are so powerful. And I really saw that as well during lockdown, having all these kids really hanging on to the words of the book, kind of the escapism, the understanding, the connection, being able to express themselves and be empowered was really important. So that was kind of the main idea, and the whole where I thought, let me come up with a series.
Interesting concept about emotional intelligence at such a young age, because of course we all know children are absolute sponges. They're going to soak it all up. So to be able to instill those great ideals at an early age is incredibly empowering.
100%. And that's why the main point of my characters was I wanted to make superheroes, because all children love superheroes, but I wanted to make them have powers that were not inaccessible. You know, they were not fantasy, so not the power of invisibility or flight, but actually superpowers any child can have. So, you know, if they just work on their skills, and it's just that kind of making it more accessible, making it more relatable, that they feel that they can tap into that side of themselves and work on that side of themselves.
It's amazing what people have done during lockdown, how people have discovered a whole new areas of interests, and for you the talent of writing. Has this set you now on a course for lots more? Is this kind of like a permanent change for you?
So really my books are an extension of my work. I thought, how can because my main motto is making sure every child is seen, heard and understood. And I can't be everywhere at the same time. There's not enough of me. There's only one of me. So I thought, writing books I can reach all corners of the globe. I've had my books bought in seven countries now, several countries. And I wouldn't have been able to help those children, support them, to, I guess, enlighten them, empower them, had I not created something. And it's making the most of all the technology, all the creative tools we have, the power of Amazon, being sold around the world, that it's just really, I've connected with families and, of course, children with limb differences who've seen themselves in my book and just thought, wow, this is a main character. He's really cool. He's just like a kid, like you and I, like you and I, as they would be thinking. And so it's amazing that that I've made that connection. I've let them kind of see themselves in my books, which is what I'm all about.
And what inspired you to actually put a child with limb difference in your books? Because yes, it's about emotional intelligence and finding themselves and things, but that's quite a specific area.
So the process of creating Alf, because all my books are diverse and inclusive, but specifically Alf was three things, because he's my first character. So the first was thinking, who have I seen in real life? Who have I experienced but never seen in a book? I've seen many adults with limb differences and some children, and I don't ever recall seeing them in children's books. And having grown up with a lack of diversity in children's books and never seeing anyone with my kind of background or the way I looked, when I was younger, I had glasses, curly hair, I was bullied for that. And my background is Italian-Iranian. So I felt quite singled out. I know how much it would have meant to me to have seen myself or character even similar to me in a book, but I didn't. And it's that moment of, oh, she's just like me, or oh, he's just like me, that I thought, why not include a character with limb difference? I could create anything. Why do I need to create what I've already seen out there, but create what I want to see? And also my frustration was the second point about the fact that we live in a world with so much diversity, beauty, individuality, and not even a fraction of that is captured in books, and the most influential of all, I believe, which are children's books. And finally, I wanted just to create a character that was likable, cool, essentially a superhero, so that after reading my book, when a child meets another child with a upper limb difference, that it's normalized. It's a positive association. And the point of reference is essentially, oh, that this kid is just like me, just another kid. There's no separation and difference in their mind that as obvious. So that was my main influence and idea behind all of that.
I do some work in schools, and one of the things I find particularly impressive about new generations coming along is this acceptance of difference. And obviously you feel very strongly that you have a role to play in that, not just in your work, but also in your writing. Where do you get that balance between highlighting difference and then actually not defining someone by their difference?
This is a really very much kind of walking on eggshells. You have to be very careful about the balance of this. And I feel like after my book had been read by a couple of hundred people, that I was like, okay, I've got it right. No one's complained. I haven't upset anybody. It's all good. Because it's difficult to get it right. But I realized actually just let the children decide for themselves. So I've read my book and have a number of schools now. And at the back of my book, I leave a note to kind adults. And I say, ask the child, not what's different about Alf, but what do you notice about him? What's special about him, right? It's a lot different directed question as a saying, what's different? You're looking for something that's not of what you would see. Like, what are we looking at? We're trying to pick out something, but what's special about him? And I would say about 90% of children, and it's only the older children that tend to mention about his arm, have said, oh, he's kindness. Oh, he's really fun. Oh, he's a really good friend. And that for me just says it all, that as adults, we tend to think that there's a right or wrong answer, but for children, it just is. And for them, they are much more aware and much more in tune with the personality of a character rather than the look. But of course, the look is subconscious, so it's important as well to have that inclusivity in the books too.
For people who are writing, the journey is absolutely to share information, share ideals, but you probably learn a lot about yourself along the way through the process of writing. What have you learned about yourself during the process of writing Alf's Powers?
I learned that I'm very meticulous with detail. I had a very particular vision, and my poor illustrator, we went through many times of how he would look, because the original version of Alf, which I'll release at some point, was not at all like he looks now. It was a very kind of early child, maybe 0 to 4 kind of character, and very, it just wasn't like a cool character. And I realized that actually I had to kind of trust myself in the process. There's a lot of times when I've learned that I wasn't sure. I didn't want to upset anybody, but I also wanted to be another voice to support something I really care about. And it's a lot of things. It's really a case of knowing exactly what you want and being very clear with your vision. That's one thing I've learned, that once I'm clear on my vision, everything else comes. And also being aware that as long as you're coming from a place of kindness, a place of wanting to make a change in the world, you can do it, as long as you go back to why am I doing this? Why is the reason I'm making this? Because a lot of frustrations come when you're making a book. You're thinking about a dozen things, especially if you don't have a team. And I'm usually kind of one woman team. So it really kind of boiled down to, I want, as I said, every child to be seen, heard, and understood. So once you keep coming back to what you're passionate about, what's motivating you, then the rest comes. You don't have that self-doubt, and you push through it, really, and create something to contribute to the world.
I think that's a great lesson for anybody at home who's maybe thinking of writing, whether they be an adult or someone who's very, very young as well. You've given us a lot to think about. So thank you so much for the book as well. It's just so great to be able to celebrate such a fantastic book that covers such a great area of really important information. So Mina Minozzi, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Great to see you, and we'll see you again hopefully very soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Mina. Thanks a lot.